Hello, KOU. Uh, now that we have the Halloween event here, and I've been able to play it for a little bit, I wanted to make a few quick videos, hopefully quick, to explain some strategy here. Um, so far, I've completed 15 levels of the main storyline. It feels like 100 already, because once you start in and get using your candies to get your brooms and cauldrons and whatever else, witch sticks, to clear spots, you start finding books, and these books you can use to open up side quests, and you'll see like one. I have one, two, three, four, five side quests open right now. I think you can have. I think there's 10 of them. I think you can have all 10 open at once. And actually, if you can get all 10 open at once, that's probably your best strategy to getting um, rewards and completing these quests in the most efficient manner, just for the fact that the more quests you have open, like as you're doing like your main quest or whatever quest, you're going to be knocking out um, additional requirements, just by doing your main quest. Like right here, I had to collect 5 incidents or finish 10 productions in production buildings. Uh, so by finishing a production here, right, I'm gathering supplies, which is um, helping complete this quest, and it's also completing this quest potentially if I do 15-minute productions, right? And you might get, yeah, it gets ridiculous, right? Here's a 4-hour one. So if I did 4-hour productions in supply buildings, I'd be working towards completing this one too. And you're just going to see that, and you're going to have to deal with this the best you can. Um, Let me go into the Halloween thing here. All right, so like when you're going through and using your stuff, you're gonna find books in these spider webs. If you haven't found one already, eventually you will. Once you get the books, you'll find your stash here, and this is where you'll start those quests. You have to come in here, see that you have a book, and then you'll click start. I already have, these three in progress. That's why it's showing the check marks on those. Um, but if you can get multiple books before actually starting these side quests, I think that's your best bet here. I mean, you don't have to wait to get all. What is it? It's 8 of them. You don't have to wait to get all 8 and start all 8 at the same time. But if you did, I would imagine that'd be better than just starting 2. And starting 3 would be better than just starting on, you know, doing it with one open. Just because you're going to be completing more quests just by doing your main quest line or whatever all at once, and that's going to maximize the goods you spend, the gold you spend, the buildings you have to build. Like it's going to save you, but maximize your completion. Um, and I think what we're all working here towards is the construction of the asylum here and getting it maxed out. Um, to get that huge attack bonus. It's a pretty good coin collection. You get 20 goods, you get 11 forge points, and then if you use your blue galaxy, if you have one, to collect on this, right, you're potentially doubling your collection on that. So 40 goods, 22 forge points, and I don't know, probably a shit ton of gold. So yeah, like you want to be maximizing everything, and I'm going to talk about getting through the event, like whatever this is, this maze here, in my next video. Um, but I wanted to talk about strategy for completing these quests, I guess. And I'll just talk about that briefly. Yeah, so I mean, obviously the main quest line, you're getting 50 candies every quest, and then daily, as you log in, you're getting 50 additional candies just for logging in that day and collecting, just for showing up. Once you hit 10 quests, you get the 500 candies, which is a nice little bump, and you can get through that maze and get some prizes along the way fairly quickly. Uh, so I'm just gonna bring up the quest thread. I think Rose creates every time we have an event. And so initially you'll see like quest one is spend some forge points. It's pretty easy. Um, you know, use a swap thread or do use the 90% thread, right? That way you might spend forge points, but you're also getting those back potentially, especially if you do a 90% swap, right? Do like a 90% swap where you're taking like the last level on someone's building and you're only paying 10, right? And you're spending some, or whatever you need to spend, and you're paying those 10, you're getting them right back. Next one, gather some supplies and make people enthusiastic. So it's a good strategy, like from the get-go, just to always have enough happiness, like abundance of happiness at all times. I think I'm plus 70,000 for my happiness now, if not more. I will never go drop down below that. I know for newer players it's hard to do that, but it's best to get your happiness up first before continuing your game. Just because if you're playing for years, like most of us have been, you're increasing the percentage of coins and supplies collected by keeping your happiness, keeping your people enthusiastic that whole time you're playing. Uh, so when these events start, I kind of like to alter my tactics a little bit as far as what I'm doing. I will stop aiding my friends and guild members daily until I complete these quests. I usually wait until the quest comes around, hey, aid so many friends or visit so many friends' taverns, to actually go and do that. That way, when that quest pops up, I have those aids and those tavern visits available to me to complete that quest right away. And we want to complete these quests as fast as possible in order to make sure we can complete the event on time and get the that asylum maxed out. So it's the same thing, kind of like with supply collections and whatever. If you look at the thread here and you can kind of like gauge what you need to do, I don't know, 5, 10 quests ahead, you can get an idea of how to prepare. So like for this supply one, right? I mean, that's not very many supplies for me. I just have to collect my Himeji Castle one time, and I've got over 2 million supplies right there. So, I mean, that knocks this quest out. I usually always go and defeat the small army versus solve a negotiation, just due to the fact that it's very easy to defeat a small army versus with negotiating, you actually have to pay supplies. I could defeat a small army without losing any troops at this point. I just throw 7 rogues out there and one whatever, and let them do their thing. Um, so a lot of the main quest and side quests have pay X number of coins, pay X number of supplies, and you know what? Like for me in Space Age Mars, I think I've already spent I want to say close to 20 million in supplies that I had to pay over the main quest and side quests. So definitely, you want to be saving your coins and supplies and not spending them willy-nilly. And I'll talk about that a little more. So that kind of plays into this, right? We got build one cultural building from your age or 2 from the previous age, and buy 5 forge points, right? So you have to buy these 5 forge points. Um, Building these cultural buildings, I usually like to look and see what I can build for cheapest. If I can build 2 of the older age ones for less than the new one, I'll do that. Usually around the time these events come, I have a store building, so I'll store a terrace farm just so I have this large amount of space here to place anything I need to place down. So in this instance, I believe I built 2 buildings from my previous age. I plopped 2 of them down right here, and I waited for that small little build thing to kick in, and then immediately after that, you could sell those if you wanted and get your space and a small amount of coins and supplies right back. But you might want to keep those there for a little bit until you need that space, because you might get to a quest where you need to collect X number of coins or X number of supplies. So once that quest pops up, you can go and sell those buildings, right? And it feeds into how many coins and supplies you're collecting right there. So you don't even have to collect a building. You could actually just sell a building. The other thing you could do when needing to collect coins or supplies is if you have an inventory of stored buildings, whatever that be, from Guild Expedition or these event quests, right? And let's say you have houses in there, or you have supply buildings or decorations that you know you can put down, and you could sell those for coins and supplies. That is a fast way to collect coins and supplies to complete these quests. The downside now is that there's the antiques dealer, and if you're building items in your inventory and then selling them, you're not getting to use them in your antiques dealer, so you're kind of taken away from stuff there. But I feel like a lot of the times it's worth making sure you complete these quests in order to get that maxed out event reward. So we'll move on to the next quest. In a production building, finish a 1 hour production some 211 times, right? So for me, I have my terrace farms. Those are like pretty much my only production buildings, and my cider mills in my city. They're always running on 24-hour cycles to complete or to produce FP. In this event, I got to this quest and I decided to reduce the number of terrace farms I'm using to produce forge points, and I'm using 12 to 14 of those production buildings to produce whatever hour productions I need to complete these quests. So right now I'm taking a hit on my terrace farm forge point production, but it's helping me get these quests knocked out pretty fast. If you don't have all these terrace farms, you probably have production buildings. If you don't have production buildings, the best trick in the game is to go build a bunch of blacksmiths, right, which are 2x2 production buildings from I think it's the era of above the Bronze era. I can't remember what that is, but you can plop down, I don't know, 10 to 15 of those pretty easily in your city, right? And they don't take up much space, and you could use those to start knocking out all the quests. And they build fast. I think it's 20 minutes to build one, so like, let's say you have 15 of them, and you get to your next quest where you need to build a production building, but you don't have any space. Well, you can sell those blacksmiths and build your production building there. Build another production building from your age there. Use that space. Once that's done, keep that production building there until you get to the quest where it's like collect coins. Then you sell that production building, and if you get back to produce or finish, 4-hour productions, so many, right? You can just build more blacksmiths right away and have those done. So recruit 4 units from your age, or recruit 5 units from the previous age. This is also where I wait on doing stuff. So I really don't have any unit buildings. I have a rogue hideout, and I have 1 unit building for my age. The way I play this one is I let my Alcatraz, I don't collect on it. I save that collection until this quest comes up, and then I collect it, and it knocks out. I think I'm at like 65 troops per collection right now, so it more than knocks this quest out. The other thing you could do to get through this is Guild Expedition, right? Every 4th battle gives you troops, so pretty much once you're in round 3, you're getting 3 troops for every 4th battle, and that's another way to knock these out if you don't have a Traz, or if you can't produce troops in your troop buildings, right? Keep that in mind. This game's all about figuring the best way to do something out. Quest 7, visit 15 friends' taverns or motivate or polish 30 buildings. Like I said, I usually only aid or visit taverns once this quest comes up, and so for this one, I think I visited 30 taverns, and I was able to do that just because I have 100 friends, and I visited 30 taverns that were open and got that done. gain some happiness. So this one's getting ridiculous for some of us higher age players. It's it says gain 250 to 2,000 happiness, but I think for this quest I had to gain 25,000 happiness. And gaining happiness can be easy or hard depending how you play your game, right? So things to keep in mind: if you're in any era, I guess, and you have older roads and you have money to spend, you can just build new roads, right? The newer age ones, and you get happiness for building those roads. Um, for a lot of people, like before the Antiques Dealer came out, right? We'd do Guild Expedition every week, and we'd had tons of Gate of the Sun Gods or Face of the Ancients, build up in our inventory. And we didn't really know what to do with them, but the best thing to do with those was when these events come around, you, like, say you had to do 10,000 happiness, you'd put out 5 of those Gate of the Sun Gods, right? Wait for them to complete, and then you'd sell those right away, and you'd build 5 more, and you would just keep doing that until you gained all your happiness, right? Then you could just sell those right off, and that was the best use for them for a lot of us. Other methods to gain happiness, obviously leveling your great buildings, but to me that's very inefficient because in order to create 25,000 happiness, I'd have to level one of my great buildings. I don't know, like a ton, like 100 times. So that's not going to happen. Another idea, and this goes along with population too, increasing your population, is to use one-ups and renovation kits on your event buildings. And these event buildings I'm talking about would be like your pagoda. Let's go. Let's exit out of here real fast. I'm just going to bump this. Alright, so like, if you're in Space Age Mars, for instance, and let's say you have a Winter Spire here, level 12, right? And you're in Space Age Mars, but let's say you got this in Arctic Future, right? If you go and use a Reno kit on that, you're probably going to jump up like 2 to 3,000 population on that one. And depending how old it is, like each era you get, like the population increases exponentially. So like this might only be giving you, I don't know, for say 500 population in progressive, but if you were to use a Reno and bump this up to Space Age Mars, you might now have 4,000 additional population. So like you could use the Renos on your event buildings, and you'd have to look them up and see which ones produce troops. You can just Google for FOE and then the building name, and it'll pop up a wiki with all the stats for everything. Super easy. So like that's an idea. Population. You could always build new homes. Some of them take forever, like 12, 16 hours to complete. If you're in the higher ages, another thing you can do is go to your inventory, right? And if you have, what do you call them? I think I just got rid of all mine. Tribal squares, right? You can put those down. There's some event buildings that provide a population. You can put those down. You could store terrace farms, and the higher you are, right, the more population that will give you back once you store one. And then as soon as you're done whatever, you can just put that right back out. I would never delete a terrace farm. Yep. And then like I think something I finally did this event because I ran out of a lot of stuff is I came into my houses here, and I think it's Future Era. Tomorrow you have these pod homes. They're 1x1s. They build in an hour and 40 minutes. You can just pop those all over, and it can hit your population up pretty fast. So right now, I'm just trying to get enough coins to complete a quest. as you can see, like I'm running low on coins right now just because of this event. I've been buying and selling stuff like crazy, so my coins are very low. Thankfully, I saved up my supplies, which I really don't. You don't spend those on anything, so that's fairly easy to do. So let's move on to the next quest. Where were we at? All right, like I said, gain the happiness. Yeah. Oh, so there's the other thing. You can gain happiness by renovating and leveling up your event buildings too. A lot of them produce happiness and will easily bump you up to high numbers if you can reno them. Motivator, polish 25 buildings of other players. Once again, I save all those until that quest comes up and then I do it. Or defeat a very small army. So I would defeat the army here probably. It's very easy to do. And a prediction, finish 4-hour production some 2 to 12, 11 times. Once again, if you don't have production buildings where you want to do 4-hour production, just build a ton of blacksmiths. The supply buildings, they take 20 minutes to build. They're very cheap, and you could build like a ton of them depending on how much space you have, and then you could just delete them right away and get that space right back. Donate donate goods to guild treasury or spend forge points. I mean, for this one, I have to donate to the treasury anyway, and it's not limited to your age or the one below of goods. So I just took my future era goods and contributed, I think it was 240 to the treasury, and gained some total population. So in order to gain population here, I actually had to build houses and wait overnight for those to complete. And I think I had to get to like 12,000 population for Space Age Mars. Quest 11, more guild goods to the guild treasury. I just gave more because it doesn't specify era, so I just gave future age goods. Finish an 8-hour production 2 to 11 times. So actually, like it was like last night when I was going to bed, this came up, and I already had buildings, my terrace farms. I threw them on 8-hour productions overnight, and when I woke up, they were ready to collect, and I had all those good to go. Build 7 decorations, so pretty much you're just opening up your decorations tab, and you're building trees, like the lowest, least costing production. I'm sorry, decoration it costs to build, right? And then you could just delete those right away to get that space back. Defeat a medium-sized army. Obviously, I'm going to take the army because I don't want to spend goods. Collect 750 tavern silver. That's another thing. I always wait to collect my tavern during these events. I let it build up to the maximum amount, and when I get this quest, I collect that tavern silver. Of course, you can always win battles without losing. Attacking, your lowest level neighbors is always usually an easy thing to do, but you can't back out of that battle, right? If you get to one where you're like, I don't want to do this, you have to win every battle in a row. Spend some forge points. I mean, that's always easy. So I think this is where I'm at now, right? What's it say? Acquire some sectors or enter production building, finish a production building. Finish 24-hour production 11 times. So with the 24-hour productions, like I said, I have all these terrace farms. I usually have them on 24-hour cycles anyway, so at one point every day I'm going to complete 24-hour cycles, and I have a ton of them. If you know this quest, like if you read ahead and see this quest coming up, once you get done, I think it was 4-hour productions that you had last somewhere, yeah, right here. Once you get done with those, right, throw all your blacksmiths on a 24-hour production cycle, and then most likely by the time you get to this, you're going to have those ready to go to complete this quest right away, or within a couple hours. And then once again, like your best strategy, like you're getting 50 candies, right? Every time you complete one of these main story quests, these 50 candies come into here, and you'll see them here, right? And they'll start you off with some of these. What are these? Wands, brooms, cauldrons, right? They'll start you out with some, and they'll let you go, and you'll use them, or you won't want to use whatever. And then you need to get more, right? So you click here, and you use your candies. Sorry, not there. Click here, use your candies to buy whatever. And like obviously these ones down here are really expensive. Versus up here, right, where you can get more, buy in bulk for your candy. You never want to use these. Maybe at the very end, if you're like, you're not going to get any more candy enough to get like here. But your best bet is to complete these quests, save these candies until you get to 395, and buy this, because that's where you're going to get the most, right, for your money. And if you're using these, I mean, you're just hurting yourself. So just wait till you get to 395 and then buy in bulk. And then once I can buy another package of these, I will go over some tips up here and how to make your way through this.